Today, we are going to talk about modeling situations with equations. So we have already practiced writing and solving 1- and 2-step equations. Now, we're going to take word problems, story problems, and turn them into equations. The first thing that we will do every single time is write a verbal model. So we're going to just break apart the story problem using words to describe the situation. In this step, we will determine what operations we use, but we will stay away from using any numbers yet. In step 2, we will translate our words from step 1 into our mathematical model. So here's where we add in the numbers as well as variables. Add in variables and numbers into our equation. Step 3 will be to solve our equation. And lastly, we will answer the question using a full sentence. So we're not just going to say 26. We're going to say he saved $26 or whatever the question is asked. It is super important to note that when we are creating these models, the variable cannot be isolated. So we cannot say x equals 4 times 5. We don't want that variable by itself because then that is stating what the variable is when we need to be able to solve for it. Okay, we're answering a question. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. It says, last week Mike had $30. Mike washed cars over the weekend and now has $89. How much money did Mike make washing cars? So sometimes it's helpful to underline or box or circle or highlight parts of the story problem. But if you would prefer not to, that's fine as well. I am going to. He had $30. Then he washed cars over the weekend and now has $89. And we need to know how much money he made. So my verbal model is going to be this in words as an equation. So the first thing that happens is thinking about it chronologically, not necessarily in order of the sentences, but thinking like, okay, this guy, Mike, what did he do? What did he have? What is his story? Well, his story is he had some money. Mike had money. Then he got more money. Getting more money means he added. He got this money, made money, washing cars. And now he has a new total. His total money that Mike has. So we took this story problem and turned it into an equation. Mike had money, he made more money, and now he has a new total. So we're going to take this and translate it directly into a equation. But first, we know how much money Mike had. We know he had $30, and we know that now he has $89. We don't know how much money he made washing the cars. So what we need to write is a let statement. And what this tells us is we write let C, I'm going to use the variable C. You can use any variable you want. Let C be the amount of money made washing cars. Okay, so, and we don't have a number here, so we're going to replace it with a variable. So now we can say, okay, Mike had money. Well, how much did he have? He had $30. We add it to the money made washing cars. That's our variable. We don't know what that is. So we add C, and now we equal how much he has, which is 89. So my equation for this story problem is 30 plus C equals 89. Our step 3 is to take this exact equation and solve. Just already know how to do. We box, we draw our line. This is positive 30. So to isolate that variable, I inverse by minusing 30 on both sides. C is 89 minus 30 is 59. I can check my work. 30 plus 59 equals 89. Check, that is correct. And now I write my answer in a full sentence. So I'm not just going to say, okay, 59. I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to go back here and it says, how much money did Mike make washing cars? Well, Mike made $59 washing cars. And that's that. For most of your problems today, you are going to focus on steps 1 and 2. I know that you know how to solve equations, so we will add that back in later, but I want our focus to be on step 1 and step 2. Let's get that word equation down, your word verbal model down, and let's get those let statements and equations down. We will worry about the solving and the final answer to the question later. Let's do one more together. It says, at a restaurant, Jill and her 3 friends decided to divide the bill evenly. If each person paid $14, then what was the total bill for the table? Okay, so what we know is that Jill and her friends went to dinner and they got a bill. So my verbal model will look like this. They had a total bill. Then they split that bill. What operation would be splitting a bill? Well, we would divide to split that bill. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky for some of us. How many are we splitting? Jill and her 3 friends. We don't divide by 3. We will divide by 3 plus our 1, which is 4, which we will get to in a second. So we're going to take our total bill and divide it by Jill and friends, or the people paying. And then that's going to equal, what will that equal? Well, it will equal the amount each person pays. All right, so what was, we wrote out our model. Now we need to do step 2. But before we can go too far in step 2, we must make our let statement. Well, we know that we don't have our total bill. That's what we're wondering. We do know the number of people and we do know the amount each person pays. So we need a let statement for total bill. What would be a good let statement for total bill? Personally, I'm going to use B. I'm going to say let B be the total bill amount. And now I can take that and plug everything in. So I start here, total bill. Well, I don't have a number for that, so I use my let statements variable, B. And then I've got my division symbol. Jill and friends. So I'm dividing by what? Well, I would divide by 1 plus 3, which is 4. And then that's going to equal 14. Now we know the best way to write an equation with division would be this, but both of these will work. So then what you're going to do today is you're going to go ahead and do each of these steps. This was step 1. This is step 2. You're going to do that for all the problems. So all your practice problems, you're going to do these 2 steps. Once you finish these 2 steps for every problem and you've checked your work and you know you're good to go, then you'll go back through and do steps 3 and 4 and solve this equation and get us the final answer. But for right now, I want you to focus on these 2 steps before moving forward.